Thank you so much for joining me, Jeani, here at Gentle Yoga at the ACC Community Room. 2 p.m. Gentle Yoga is about to start. We are going to focus on maybe getting a little space in the hips, in the joints that help us to stand and stay, well supported in an upright position. And just more of a yin kind of class today as we make our way down to the mat in the latter half. So it's not going to require anything that I can think of, but if you have any special props that you like to use, keep them nearby, strap and blocks. And we'll go ahead and start at the back of the mat. One of our balancing poses will be that standing balance where you might need to have the wall near you or a chair, something to kind of hold on to if you have a balance issue when you look up, or if you're tilting as you're standing. So just to keep that in mind, if you have a wall or a chair nearby, that would be good. So there is one thing I forgot. So anyhow, we are coming on to today's practice on a day where it's sort of overcast and a little cooler than usual. We just came off of I believe a warmer stint here, but then we had a drastic change in weather, and I'm, a little more arthritic, feeling a little stiffer. So, mind how you're feeling today as you arrive, and if you feel a little stiff this morning, or this afternoon, like I do, move slowly, use exploratory moves. Even if you can do certain poses on certain days, maybe it's a good way to kind of slip into things and check out how your body is feeling in the pose at this time. Okay, one more thing, I need to turn on the music, and we will begin. At the back of the mat as we arrive, you don't have to change the quality of your breath. We're just noticing how we're feeling as we stand in our mountain, our home base, at the back of the mat. As the air enters the nose and exits the nose, just notice how you're feeling today. How does the mat feel under the feet?
Oh, it's not connected.
Oh, it's not connected. Okay. Do I need to fix it? Okay. Thank you. Sean is doing some technical repair work here, and we will continue to work on the breath. Thank you, Sean. And as we begin to bring more awareness and focus to our breath, let's go ahead and bring the left hand to rest on our chest, over the heart, right hand underneath the belly button. We'll begin to breathe with a little more intent, starting to cultivate that yogic breath. As we inhale, feel the chest lift, rib cage expand. As you reach the top of that inhale, if you can briefly pause before you begin the slow, controlled exhale. And at the bottom of that exhale, feeling an engagement in the core, maybe a slight pressing in of this belly hand. And as our breath rate and our breath cycles begin to slow, we can bring the sound of the ocean to the back of the throat. Yogic breath connected. Let's go ahead and bring our hands to the side, nice and relaxed. And we'll begin bringing breath and body movement together. So bringing the feet, readjusting our mountain just slightly. We'll start to inhale, feel that lengthening in our mountain, that energy drawing from our feet through the legs, up the spine to the crown of the head. As we exhale, feel that same energy reverse course, returning to the mat, feeling more rooted at the bottom of the exhale. Inhaling, begin to tip the weight at the feet towards the toes. Roll the weight, feel that transition to the edge at the toes. And then we'll go ahead and hopefully use the next breath to start moving the center of gravity at the soles of the feet towards the heels. Give yourself a few breath cycles. Move slowly, move a little faster if that feels better for you. But identify that center if you can, and meet in mountain once the vertical mapping has been made. We'll inhale once in our mountain again, lifting upwards, energizing upwards, and then exhaling, rolling the weight towards the outer right edge of the feet. Inhale all the way back up to center. Exhale over to the other side. And as we use this 3-part breath, or a 2-part if you prefer, just find that horizontal mapping from side to side. And then return to center in our mountain position. Reset if you need. And inhale tall once more. Feeling now as we have this imaginary string lifting at the crown of the head. We're going to start making small circles in one direction at the ankles. Find that perimeter eventually at the edge of the feet, and then tighten in the circles. Meet at the center, dropping into mountain like water going down a drain. Inhale nice and tall in mountain once more to reset. And we're making small circles in the opposite direction. Just notice if there's any differences in this direction. And as you find that perimeter edge, you'll eventually return home to mountain. And settling back in. Let's go one more time to reset the mountain. Lift the toes, lift the heels if you have a tendency to grip the mat. We'll go ahead and continue on up the body. Spread the feet a little wider than the hips if you like, and just start shifting the weight between both feet. And as you do that, you might start swiveling at about the shoulders. And if you start to feel that torso swiveling more to each side, we're going to lift the ball of the foot and swivel on the heel. You don't want to torque the knee. You want the knee and the toes to be in the same direction if possible. Just giving that momentum the time to develop. Maybe the arms can help relaxed at the side, but using that momentum to gently tap around the sides. Naturally, using the traction of gravity and momentum to help release at the top of the shoulders. And then we'll go ahead, return to center, let the momentum peter out. And here in mountain, reset if you need. We'll move on up the body, coming up to our shoulders after the hips and ankles and knees are given a little more lubrication in their warm-up. Standing with palms facing forward, a little taller. Let's go ahead and lift with the next inhale, the shoulders up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, roll them back and down. Total of 3 to 4 of these if you need. Give yourself that ocean connection to the breath. And try to get a lot of release, circulation in the shoulder girdle area. Do our second round here. Resetting our mountain, inhaling, up go the shoulders, forward on the exhale this time. The next 3 to 4 breath cycles. And at the very last one, engage the core at the bottom of the exhale. Inhale, reset our mountain. And find yourself just a little taller. Feet are hips distance apart. We'll work on the neck. Inhale, press into the legs. Feel that length all the way up from the feet to the crown of the head. And then exhale, let the right ear drop gently towards the right shoulder. Left shoulder still in line with the right. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling to turn the gaze and release. In the next 3 to 4 breath cycles, palms facing forward. Hopefully the breath will help you to release through the left side of the neck. And maybe by the last exhale, your eyes can rest at the rightmost side. And when you're done, go ahead and bring the eyes, the gaze, the head all the way back up, and exhale to the other side. Feel that lift with the inhale. Feel the turn of the neck and the release on that side with the exhale. 3 to 4 breaths here. Breath cycles. See if you can release the eyes to the leftmost of your periphery. And let the ocean breath guide you. After the last breath cycle, inhale the eyes, the gaze, the crown of the head lifting towards the ceiling. So all you have to do is let the eyes float to the top of the mat, resting about 6 feet in front of you, shoulders nice and wide, space between the chin and the chest, breathing 3 to 4 breath cycles here as well. And when you're done with your last exhale, go ahead and bring the eyes back up to center, past the midline. And when you're looking somewhat above you, stop craning the neck and let the next 3 to 4 breath cycles release any activation in the neck, the jaw, the throat, even the tongue that you don't need. Maybe it's residual from grinding the teeth overnight. Maybe it's from a lot of work holding the head throughout the week. See if you can find length in the front of the mouth, front of the throat, even the tongue. And after that very last exhale, we'll just let the eyes float the head back towards center. And go ahead, shake out any residual tension in the feet and the hands. And we'll start our first fold. Coming on down to the mat, we're going to reach downward. Inhale, extend the arms above your head. Hands are reaching at the top. Exhale, engage the core, hinge at the hips, bend the knees if you need, and float down to your first extended fold. In our ragdoll fold, see if you can just let the body release. Upper back hopefully is nice and relaxed, as well as the arms, so that you can feel that release from the tailbone, down the spine, and neck, to the crown of the head. You can extend one leg at a time to your best ability. You can sway the hips from side to side. We take about 5 good deep breath cycles here. And when we're done, we're going to slowly roll up. Start to engage the core, press into the feet, roll up the feet, the spine, 1 vertebra at a time, walking the hands up if you need. And the last thing to stack on top of the neck is the head. Go ahead and reach down one more time. Inhale, extend the arms above the head, our second fold. Exhaling, engaging the core, floating on down or walking the hands down, and giving 3 breath cycles this time to help the back release just a little more. Maybe you can roll the toes up. Maybe you can shift the heels up a little bit, playing with that center of gravity at the soles of the feet. And then bringing that center clearly at about the tops of the ankles, all the way up the legs to about the hips. And then when you're ready to come out, We're going to come up with a slow roll up if you'd like, or with a long straight back. But either way, engaging the core, pressing into the feet, inhaling, come on up. Hands all the way up above, at the top. Exhale, hands down heart center. And we'll begin our modified walking meditation. Inhale, pressing into the palms. Exhale, the right foot down. Inhale, left foot up. Exhale, the foot down. And as we make our way to the top of the mat, one breath cycle per step. At the top of the mat, we'll look down at the fingertips. Exhale, pressing into the palms. Inhale, lift the hands. And at the top, separate the palms. Exhale, hinge at the hips and float to your third fold. At the bottom, we're going to go ahead and inhale. Press into the contact with your hands to lengthen through the back. Somewhat of a 90-degree angle, maybe a little less. Lengthening through the back. And then exhale. Let the chest and the head release towards the mat. Place the hands at either side of the feet, and we'll walk a right foot and a left foot, maybe a couple of feet all the way back. And we can inhale, shoulders over the wrists, and then bring down your knees. Untuck the toes. Feel the shins and the tops of the feet supporting much of the weight. Notice where the shoulders are if you need to adjust. And giving ourselves just a few breaths here in our modified high plank. Feeling nice and strong in the upper shoulders, pressing down through extended arms. Inhale, tuck the toes, lift the hips, and press through an exhale. Hips back into your down dog. Give yourself 5 good breath cycles here. And if you can work on flattening the palms, finding more distribution of that weight at the hands being distributed throughout the palms and fingertips and not just all building at the wrists, just to help. Head should be somewhere in between the arms, and heels can be lifted on their way to lengthening down the calves towards the mat. Feel that lift and that core engaged at the apex of your upside down V or U. And with one more inhale, look to the hands with your eyes and walk the hands, bending the knees if you need, to the back of the mat, to the fold. Making the adjustment here if you need. Step back all the way. And inhale, lengthen for a half lift. Exhale, float back to your fold. And inhale, engage the core. Come on up with a straight back or slow roll up, but hands above the head. And exhaling the palms down, heart center. Our second round of modified sun salutation. Lift the right foot. Exhale it down. Inhale. And exhale. And as we make our way to the top of the mat, we'll stop in mountain. Look down at the fingertips. Inhale. Watch the fingertips rise. Exhale. Separate the palms and float down to your fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands and step a long right leg and a long left leg back. And bring the shoulders over the wrists with an inhale. Standing in our high plank. One more inhale, one more exhale. Bring that belly button towards the spine. Let's lift up the hips on an inhale and exhale the hips back to our second down dog. 3 breath cycles here. Go ahead and alternately walk each knee, each bend of the knee to walk your dog. Give yourself the movement that feels good here. And then after your very last breath, we're going to roll the eyes on the inhale towards the hands, and exhale, walk the hands with bended knee if needed to the back of the mat, to the fold. Fully exhaled. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, engage the core. Come on up. Exhaling, hands down, heart center, and finally down to the side. Give yourself a drink of water if you'd like. We're going to move into a standing balance, so if you need to be near a wall or near a chair, something that you can reach out to kind of regain your balance if you need. But all we'll do is just start with our mountain. I just want to give you an idea of when we're standing in Tadasana, we want to actively engage a gentle tucking of the tailbone. So if you stand with flexed hips like that, just imagine tucking under the tailbone and just giving the hips a gentle press forward. You might have a slight micro bend to the knees as you are lengthening and able to eventually bring all the major joints, the shoulders under the ears, under the hips, under the knees, under the ankles, so that you have some alignment in this manner in our Tadasana. So feet are about hips distance apart. Let's go ahead and inhale, the arms above our head. And if your arms are pitched forward a little bit, that's okay. We're working on lengthening them so we can bring them up in alignment with the rest of the body. If you're able to have the palms touch above your head, that's great. If not, again, work with where you are. We're eventually, hopefully, getting to a point where we can bring the palms together. And then exhale, hands down, heart center, and palms facing forward. Let the tops of your shoulders relax. Give yourself a breath or two, maybe a gentle bounce on the knees. We don't want to hyperextend the knees. You can give yourself a micro bend to prevent that hyperextension. And we'll go into our second Tadasana. Inhaling nice and deep, we're going to bring the arms above, hands above the head, wherever we may. If we can bring palms together, that's great. If we can intertwine fingers, that's great. Wherever you are, inhale, lengthen. And if you can look up with your eyes, see if you can look at the ceiling tiles with just the eyes. Hold on to your chair or your wall if you get a little dizzy. Come back with the gaze to center, and hands can float down heart center and down to the side. Go ahead and give yourself another gentle bounce. Lift the foot if you need. And we'll reset for a second round of a different Tadasana. Now we're going to bring one arm up and extend through the hip. So we'll start with the left arm going up. I'm going to have this right hand towards my chair or the wall just in case. So as we inhale, the left hand can come up, and we're going to bring some standing weight to the right leg, and we're just going to walk this left foot back behind this standing right leg. So you'll have an extension of the left hip, and that whole left side of your body hopefully is finding this nice long length. Let's go ahead and bring the left hand down and bring the left foot back to mountain center. Give yourself a nice gentle bounce. Bring out any movement that helps to release still activated muscles, and we'll move to the other side. And I'll turn to this side just so that you have an idea in case that perspective is better. Standing nice and tall in our mountain once more. We'll raise the right arm with an inhale, bringing the right arm up. And feeling that stability there, go ahead and inhale, bring the standing weight to the left leg and walk the right foot back, just slightly behind this left standing leg. You may not be able to walk too much past that standing leg, that's fine. But you're trying to find that opening, that lifting up as you're bringing this right hip open with the foot moving back. Lengthening upwards, getting a hold of the chair or the wall. If you feel a little dizzy, bring the eyes back to center. One more deep inhale, reach up, and then exhale. Bring the arm down, bring this right foot back to mountain, back to center, and give yourself any movement to help turn off any activated muscles. We will go ahead and make our way down to the mat now. And coming on down. Let's see, we have our first goddess squat. So I just came down and squatted just to look at my notes. But as we're on the mat, coming down, you can walk the hands down into a fold. You can come down into a squat if that's available to you. But eventually, as we're coming down, you may need to have a block to help you in your squat. You might need to have that connection to the hands on mat and heels to the block, just to get that stretch in your squat. If the hips and the heels are not meeting, your blocks as you come into your fold, hopefully they're right nearby, you can have your blocks to help, just bringing in that distance with the blocks. And if you need to bring the knees down, you can do that. And it all should help with the opening of the arches, the Achilles heels, eventually enabling you to roll onto the balls of the feet and get your squat. So coming out of the squat, wherever you might be here, you might be just here, wherever you are, coming down then eventually to hands and knees. And meeting in a hero pose. And again, using your props that you like to come into your version of hero. Once you're in hero, in your sweet spot, give yourself 3 breath cycles. If you need to leave sooner, you can always do that. You can meet in just an easy seated position. You can meet with your hands up. You can be in a regular seated position if that helps for you. But if you're still in hero, your version of it, 3 breath cycles, which should be done by now. We'll go ahead and walk the hands forward. Bring the toes to tuck. Once more, give yourself a little bit of a counter stretch by bending the toes in the other way. Don't apply any weight. Just let your toes kind of fold in the opposite position and then tap out the tops of the feet. And we will bring our hips to the right. Now, as we do that, we're going to roll on our bottom and get a nice massage along the glutes, hopefully. So bringing our feet out in front of us and eventually meeting in a base bridge position. So coming here, we can just bring one elbow down at a time and eventually bring the shoulders and head to rest. And give yourself just a little bit of time to appreciate the body being supported by the mat, by the floor. As soon as you give yourself a few breaths here, you might feel your shoulders, if they were tented, just start to melt into the mat. If the palms are facing up, you can let the fingers just gently keep a curl to it. Don't need to straighten them. And then we're going to extend one leg slowly. See how that feels. Does it feel tented, your left the hip that you're straightening the leg? I've got my left leg down. The hip is a little tented, and it's taking just a few breaths to relax. So once you feel that sort of melting into the mat and relaxing into your left leg, nice and long, perhaps the calf is resting on the mat. If the knee is tented, gently inhale and extend through the left heel, and then exhale, let that left leg extend and rest on the mat as far as it's going to. We'll go ahead and do the same with the right leg. Inhaling, just lengthen. And once you get to that first place there, you might notice how it feels in the rest of the body. Does that lift up the hips? Do you have a higher space there at the lower lumbar? Do you need a little bit of time to kind of relax and get the lower back to just gently release a little bit? Or is it just a little too tight? That might be a good time for you to determine if you need to have an extra folded blanket under your lower back, if you tend to have compression there and it's uncomfortable to lay on your back. But as you make your way flat to the back, if you don't need that extra support under the lumbar area, just go ahead and give yourself a nice little bounce of the knees. We're just giving our body some time to unfold from all of the active poses we were doing upright. And once we're there, a deep breath, and we can bring the knees to bend and the soles of the feet to the mat in base bridge position. Let's go ahead and bring the arms out slightly to the sides of the hips so that we can gently windshield wipe the knees from side to side. You can decide for yourself if you'd like to savor the windshield wipe by holding it on one side for a few breath cycles. Sometimes that feels good. Or maybe you can just gently roll from side to side, maybe a little deeper each time that you go. And you're just exploring how that nice stretch feels. Give yourself a couple of breath cycles on either side, and then we'll return to our base bridge position. So starting here, we're going to come into our half figure four. The heels are somewhat below our hips here. If we reach down, we might be able to brush the fingertips to the heels. Once you've done that and you know your hips, your feet are about hips distance apart, go ahead and start rolling on the sacrum from left to right a couple of times. Stop in what feels like center. Roll on forward and back on the pelvic bowl on the sacrum. It's like you're tucking under the tailbone and then you're sticking the tailbone out. Just rocking forward and back now. And then find what feels like center so that there's a slight space, but your lower back should feel a little closer to the floor now. Here, we'll go ahead and inhale. Use your hands if you need, use a strap if you need, but we're going to inhale the right foot above. And before we move that right ankle to the left knee, thigh area, we're going to externally rotate outward the right hip, and then bring the right ankle somewhere to that left knee, thigh area. Find out where you can begin. And what we're looking for is that same even support at the sacrum. So as you moved your right foot to that left knee, thigh area, if you shift it in the sacrum, see if you can bring it back into balance. And notice how that feels in the rest of the body. Sometimes the right knee will wing inward with tightness of hips. So gently opening up. We're not forcing anything. We're exploring. We're gently guiding, or we're just allowing it to be as we're opening that space. But once you find that sweet spot, after about 3 to 5 breath cycles, you should feel nice and relaxed, a steady, easy, comfortable hold of this figure four or half figure four. And then we will bring our blocks to what we might think will be the landing spot. And you can use a high setting of your block to land your foot as we gently windshield over to the left side. You might be on the flattest setting. You might eventually bring the sole of that foot to the floor, but explore for now and see where you are today. So taking the next inhale, check the alignment of your spine to your neck. Should be one line, nice flat sacrum, feeling even distribution of weight. And we'll go ahead and inhale. Help to guide your windshield wipe to the left. Maybe your right foot lands on that landing block where you want it, and find your sweet spot. Give yourself 3 to 5 breath cycles to find it. Your right shoulder can lift. It does not have to stay stuck to the mat. But wherever you are, you're finding that part of the pose that you can hold it and not struggle, not hold the breath. Those are all signs that's a little farther and you need to come out and go to a less intensive level. So wherever you are, at this point, hopefully it's your good spot. Give yourself 5 good breath cycles from here. You may end with the palm orientation up, with the gaze gently resting to the right. When you're ready to come out, after your last exhale, go ahead. If your shoulder is on the floor, we're going to bring it up slightly so it's in line with your chest. We're going to gently bring the entire body back onto the mat, onto the sacrum. You can use your hands or just roll back onto your foot, sole of the foot. And we're going to inhale, bring up, internally rotate the right hip and allow the right foot to land gently. Give yourself make sure your spine is aligned with your neck, hands off to the side, palms down this time. And you can gently bring the knees to windshield wipe, drop to the right. Maybe your block is there and it helps to support your right knee. Inhale, let's go ahead and roll onto the sacrum, bringing the knees back up to the ceiling. And exhale, let the knees gently roll to the left side. And remember, the soles of the feet are staying where they are. We're just rolling to the left edge of our feet. And again, your block might be here, helping to support the left knee this time. Maybe you're using gravity to eventually allow this left knee in the deep windshield wipe to this side to eventually just land on the floor. Just depends on your practice. If you find that anything is straining or starting to feel tight, come back to center, inhaling, help your hands, bring the knees back up if you need. And we're about done with our breath, so let's go ahead and do that. We'll inhale, come back up to center, and we'll be ready to use the left portion of our figure 4. So making sure our base bridge is nice and aligned in the spine and the neck. Sacrum is evenly distributing support. Feet are hips distance apart. Let's go ahead and inhale. Bring the left foot up and externally rotate the left hip while we bring this left ankle to rest somewhere on this right knee thigh area. We have hopefully our blocks nearby. And give our first 3 to 5 breath cycles the time it needs to find that good sweet spot. We're making sure our foot is flexed in our figure 4 here, half figure 4. Our knee is not caving in, winging in towards the chest. If it is, we're just gently reminding the left knee that we want this figure 4 here. And as you find that this is your sweet spot, you'll be ready to bring our figure 4 windshield wipe over to the right. So giving yourselves that time. I'm not sure if I'll need the higher setting, so we'll see. So bringing the arms out to the side or helping this left thigh roll over. We're inhaling and exhaling over. And find where you land. We're having a nice stretch to the left side of our hip, but our left shoulder can peel up with us if we find that that stretch is very intense. And as we take the next few breaths, just to find that sweet spot on the right twist, the right windshield wipe. We can bring our finishing touches. Yes, that block is going to be there to help. And breathe. At this point, your 5 breath cycles. See if you can imagine yourself floating on the surface of the ocean as each wave rises and falls. When you're ready to come out, if your left shoulder is on the floor, let's go ahead and peel this up just slightly, bringing it up so that we can bring the entire chest and figure 4 position back onto the mat, onto the sacrum. Once that's there, we're going to lift up this foot slightly, internally rotate the left hip, bring that left foot to land gently, hopefully somewhat in our base bridge position. Make slight adjustments to ensure the spine is in line with our neck. Bringing out the arms, palms down, block somewhat in strategic landing area. We'll go ahead and windshield wipe again. Go ahead and let the knees roll gently to the left. Remember, we're bringing the feet to just roll to the left side of our edge of the feet. We can inhale, help your knees up if you need. We'll bring the knees back up, sacrum back onto the mat, and just let the knees then roll to the other side. We'll have one more inhale. Bring the knees back up. Return to our base bridge position. Make sure the spine is in alignment with the neck. And extend one leg long. If that feels okay, then hopefully you find the calf is down on the mat. If it feels very tented at the hip, extend through that right heel with the inhale. And then exhale, let that right leg relax where it is. Go ahead and inhale, extend through the left leg. And exhale. See if you can let the left hip relax. If it's tented, try that extension through the left heel. Exhale once more. See if the left calf can just gently float down to the mat. And as the body is fully extended on our back, give yourself an extension of the arms above the head once more. And just make any movement. Wiggle the fingers, the toes, bounce the knees if you need. And we do have one more roll, one more pose we can do before we finish with Shavasana. So we're going to roll onto our belly for our locust. Finding our way to the belly and bringing ourselves belly onto the mat. We've been pretty flat for a while, so we don't have to savor this as much. But if it feels good to you, go ahead and bring the brows to rest on top of the backs of your hands, the fingers if possible, so that you can raise the forehead just slightly above the mat. Toes are pointed down the mat, tops of the feet on the mat if possible. If not, you can always bring the tips of the toes on there. But if you can, flatten out the tops of the ankles on the mat. Try to do so. And we're just going to give ourselves a nice deep breath in and out. See if your shoulders relaxed a little bit. Now, as my elbows are about shoulder length, height, maybe a little above, if that's too much for your shoulders, you can always bring your shoulders, your elbows down a little further. Make your adjustments so that you can rest comfortably here. And inhale, we're going to just lengthen through the right leg. Pin your right hip and your left hip to the mat. just feel heavy there. And as you're extending that right leg, you're keeping in contact with the mat. The top of your right toes, the top of your ankle, the instep, all of that, maybe even the top of your thigh should be still on the mat. The kneecap might be lifted, but not hyperextended. And then exhale, release. And just let that right leg just melt into the mat. Inhale, extend and activate through the left leg while you're still maintaining contact with the mat. Make sure that left and right hips are still on the mat as you're extending down this left leg. If you find that you start to cramp up in a toe, stop pointing the leg so much, and you can always flex the foot to help get out of the cramp. But if you're not cramping, hopefully you can just extend and feel that lengthening. And then release. Then just let that leg melt into the mat. Next, we're going to bring the hands underneath the tops of the hands onto the mat, and the face is kind of going to be smushed a little bit. Then turn the palms onto the mat and bring the arms out away from the hips as is comfortable. You can go about 15 degrees out. You can go a full 90 degrees out, 45 degrees out. Just see what feels good on your shoulders. We're going to eventually just lengthen, just like we did through the legs, but we're going to lengthen through all our limbs with the next inhale. Press into the chest. Gently, have the chest and the pelvic hip area as your support. As you lengthen through the arms, and you're still in contact with the mat. As you're lengthening through the arms, through the legs, kind of in a 5-star position, active in the limbs, and then exhale, relax. We're going to inhale, extend once more, keeping in contact to the mat. Extend all the way to the fingertips and the toe tips, and then see if you can lift those, engaging the core, bringing the massive support at the belly, and you're maybe lifting the hands and the feet above for just slightly. Maybe it's not lifting, but you have that intention, and then let the feet and then the hands roll back. Bring the arms to the sides. Turn the head to one side. Maybe the apple of the cheek is on the mat. It doesn't have to be too much of a neck twist. But as we need to balance that face turn, inhale, press in the chest slightly so you can turn the gaze. And just rest the opposite cheek on the mat. And hopefully the shoulders relaxed with that very last exhale. And then we're going to inhale, bring the gaze back above the mat, and find your way onto your back. Roll onto the side, maybe off the mat, and then eventually gently scoot into your way over shoulders a little, maybe hips a little bit, back onto the mat. I'm going to sit upright, but as you find your way to Shavasana, you can go ahead and bring a blanket over you. You can bring the legs together. You can leave them apart, let them roll, let the toes roll away from each other. Whatever feels good in this last 5 minutes of this practice or so. Just to be comfortable, palms facing up. And in the next few minutes, letting the body respond to today's practice. And we will awaken at the 3 bells. bringing the mind back to the body and taking note of sounds outside the room. Notice how the air enters the body. Notice how the air exits the body. As you begin to connect to your body vessel once more, wiggle the fingers, toes, make the body movements you need to re-inhabit the vessel once more. We'll make our way to an easy seated position. You can have your legs either in one out in front of the other position, or in a staff position of the legs out in front of you. You'll get a nice hip opening if you keep the knees in that easy seated position, one shin above the other. But you can also find benefit with the hips being a little higher than the knees if your lower back is bothering you. And it's just keeping in an upright torso position, keeping that spine nice and long. We're going to give ourselves a breathing exercise using just the weight of the body as our exhale to help expel the air. So if you're sitting in a staff position or an easy seated position, you're not going to go too far forward if your hips are really tight, and that's okay, but it'll give you a nice opening as well as help you with that movement and opening of the hips. So taking your seating position in mind, feel that sits bones, start position of being upright, even distribution on each sit bone. You can rock from side to side, forward and back, find that center. And then we'll go ahead and inhale. Bring the hands to heart center, shoulders are nice and loose. Inhale, hands come up. Exhale, separate them and start to fold forward, engaging the core until you stop hinging forward. Inhale, bring the hands and the torso back up. Exhale, hands down, heart center. Inhale, hands come up. Exhale, separate them and forward hinge once more until you stop. You may not go forward. You're feeling that in the hips, keeping a nice long back. Inhale, come all the way back up. Exhale, hands down, heart center. Inhale, press into the palms, hands up once more. Exhale, right palm down at the sides. Fingers can be pointed away. And then go ahead and tip over. Left arm reaches, right elbow might be bending. Feel that length on the left side. Exhale, draw the belly button to the spine. And then inhale, extend the right arm, bringing it up all the way to meet the left. Exhale, left palm down to the left hip area. Inhale, reach up with the right arm. Exhale, bend the left elbow if you need. Find more of that reach. Fully exhale, draw the belly button towards the spine. Inhale, extend through the left arm. Bring the left arm up to meet the right. And then exhale, start to hinge forward once more. Bring the arms down, bring the hands down. See how far you can reach forward. And then bring the hands out to the side. Fully exhaled here. Inhale, walk the torso up, walk the hands towards the hips. And then exhale, relax. Bringing the hands to heart center. Thank you so much for joining me, Jeani, here at the ACC Community Room for Gentle Yoga at 2 p.m. I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.